Hello my buzz buddies, welcome to a very different practice than my usual. Today I'm going to be talking about time management for musicians who are practicing but also probably working full-time and maybe students as well, and some things that we can do to overcome the obstacles of having the kind of practice routine that we really want and stuff. So this is not my classroom, this is actually my coworker's classroom, but I only have this short time frame to practice because today we are checking out instruments to students who are borrowing from the school. That's why I had this idea for a practice video, because it is not really something that I had control over, you know. I'm not gonna go drive 20 minutes home to be home for, you know, an hour and then drive 20 minutes back. That doesn't really work. So I planned ahead today. I brought my trumpet and my books, didn't bring my metronome, but then realized that I'm in a band room, so that doesn't. So let's practice a little bit. One video that I watched this year that had a lot of influence on my thoughts about time management was actually a video by Amy Landino, which is called Make Time for Everything You Want to Do. She's a really big proponent of calendar blocking, which I thought at the time, like, wow, that's totally something I can do. That's awesome. Yeah, I can make time for everything. No problem. But it turns out that I am a creative soul that cannot be caged. And if you're a practicing musician, there's no way to micromanage your practice at that level. Unless you're so self-aware about your progress and how much progress you're going to make every time that you can, and you want to put that kind of effort into it. For the rest of us, we have no idea what's going to come of our music practice when we sit down for the first time that day. I sat down on Monday and I practiced for about an hour and I had nothing. I had not made any progress. The brain is not a machine. You cannot always rely on growth, and you can't always rely on, I'm gonna make this practice today. It just doesn't work like that. So while I absolutely love the idea of carving time out of your day to practice, it doesn't always work if you're someone who does stuff like this. And that's where I got a little bit discouraged. So here is what I'm thinking about when I think about strategizing my practice and making use of what little time I do have as a full-time band teacher in the first week of band. First of all, I have priorities within my practice. I have an etude, I have scales. Warming up is incredibly important, priming yourself for making progress. So warming up is always going to be first. Scales are important for developing your sound and making sure you're aware of your sound throughout the instrument. After that, I have my etude, I have expressive work, and I also have ensemble work that I need to practice. If I'm not close to an ensemble rehearsal, I put that one by the wayside. I kind of save that until 1 or 2 days before rehearsal starts. Etudes tend to be really long, so if you don't have a lot of time to practice, or you know that it's going to be closed-ended, like I know my practice is going to end at 4 o'clock, then I have to choose within the etude of what exactly I'm going to practice. What section am I going to practice? What aspect of this am I going to practice? Am I going to work on tempo? Am I going to work on my range or those intervals, those jumpy intervals that are hard? So I have to prioritize what is most difficult for me. I mentioned open-ended or closed-ended practices. If I can help it, I keep my practices open-ended, meaning that once I start, I don't have anything scheduled for the rest of the day. I just work better like that. I just, like, I feel too constrained. Even if it's a 2-hour block that's blocked out and then I have something to do after the 2 hours, I just feel trapped. I can't work like that. I don't know what it is, but that for me is just, it's a priority to keep my practices open-ended if I can. Knowing that I couldn't today or tomorrow has made me a little bit stressed, I'm going to tell you, but it's honestly better than not practicing at all. So let's play a little more. That practice was far from pretty, sorry, but I'm really just trying to work on my accuracy, so I have to practice it slower and I have to work on small things at a time. And striving for accuracy so that in the moment you don't have to think about, are my notes right? That's what you do. It's not pretty. It's really, most practice is pretty ugly. But I do like to end with pretty things so that I feel like I'm not such a bad musician. So let's go back to the Arban. But before I do, I just want to mention one more thing about practicing when you're busy, and that is how important it is to accept your current limitations, you know, either physically with your skill level on your instrument or mentally. If you had a hard day at work, you're not going to be as productive after hours. That's just a fact, you know? You're mentally processing stuff. That's important to acknowledge because not doing so would insinuate that you're just not good enough. And that's not a constructive attitude to have, no matter who you are and what your goal is. And it's important to be aware that we can only work within our limitations. And that's something I struggle with all the time. But accepting that is a huge step in progress, and it's ultimately going to keep you working. So in the meantime, let me know your thoughts. What are your strategies for practicing and staying motivated to practice when you're busy? And do you do it? Do you practice or do you let it go for a while? Let me know what you do in your routine and what your solution is. I'll play a little bit of Arbans for you as you do that. Until next time, stay mindful, stay musical, and stay out of treble.